The golden age of American fast food is ending, not slowly, not quietly, but with a force that's reshaping the entire industry. For generations, fast food wasn't just cheap calories, it was culture, the after school stop, the Friday night ritual, the road trip fuel that connected every corner of this country. But 2025 has become the breaking point, a year when prices climbed too high, margins stretched too thin, and millions of working Americans simply walked away. The promise was simple, fast, cheap, reliable, but that promise is shattering. Combo meals that cost $5 or $6 just a few years ago now push 10, 12, sometimes 15. Ingredient costs, labor demands, rent pressures, delivery fees, everything is compounding at once. And the customers who built this empire, the working class families who filled these dining rooms and drive-through lines for decades, are stepping back. Traffic among lower income households has dropped sharply. The very foundation of the industry is cracking. This isn't just about one bad quarter or a few struggling locations. Hundreds of restaurants are closing across the country. Entire franchise groups are filing bankruptcy. Chains that once felt unstoppable are now fighting just to stay open. And together, these failures reveal something bigger. A moment experts are calling the fast food collapse, when the old model stops working and the industry is forced to reset. By the end of this countdown, you'll see exactly which chains are in the most danger, why the pressure keeps mounting, and how 2025 became the year everything changed. Let's begin. Number 12. Boston Market. There was a time when Boston Market felt like a lifeline. The smell of rotisserie chicken, the warmth of home-style sides, the relief of not having to cook dinner after a long day. For working families across America, it was the shortcut to comfort. A real meal, affordable and ready. But in 2025, that comfort has vanished, and Boston Market is now one of the clearest warning signs in the entire industry. The cracks appeared long before customers noticed. Lawsuits piled up, suppliers went unpaid, workers reported going months without paychecks. In New Jersey, state officials stepped in and shut down multiple locations after wage violations became too severe to ignore. One of the chain's largest suppliers won a multi-million-dollar judgment over unpaid bills, proof that the company was running on fumes. And across the country, dozens of stores now sit empty, locked behind signs that say temporarily closed, even though those signs haven't moved in over a year. What makes this collapse so painful is what it represents. In many suburbs and small towns, Boston Market wasn't just another chain. It was the place families counted on when time was short and budgets were tight. But supply chain failures, leadership turmoil, and mounting debt pushed franchise owners to walk away. The exact number of closures remains unclear, but the pattern is undeniable. The brand is shrinking fast, and for many communities, it's already gone. Number 11, Little Caesars. For decades, Little Caesars was the last refuge. The hot and ready wasn't just a pizza, it was a cultural promise. $5, no wait, no questions. You could feed your family without thinking twice. But in 2025, even the most affordable option in fast food can't escape the economic storm. The famous $5 price tag is gone. Corporate raised it more than 20% in recent updates, and in many cities, customers now report paying over $7 for what used to be the cheapest hot meal available. The company still insists it's a value brand, but rising cheese costs, pepperoni prices, and labor expenses have pushed margins to the breaking point. Delivery app fees only add more pressure. For a chain that built its entire identity on affordability, every price increase chips away at the core promise. What makes Little Caesars' situation so complicated is that on paper, the chain is still expanding. Corporate continues opening new stores in select markets, and franchise filings show positive unit counts. But on the ground, the story feels different. Working-class families, especially across the Midwest and Rust Belt, say Little Caesars is no longer the automatic choice when money gets tight. Ironically, grocery store frozen pizzas have become the cheaper alternative. The brand that once dominated the bottom of the market is now losing ground to products that don't even need an oven timer. Number 10. Taco Bell. Taco Bell used to be the champion of late-night cravings and tight budgets, the place where $6 could buy a full meal and a little bit of freedom. Cheap, chaotic, unapologetically fun. But in 2025, that reputation is slipping. Not because the chain is shrinking on paper, but because its value proposition is collapsing in real time. Here's the twist. Taco Bell's official sales numbers still look healthy. Same-store sales grew modestly in recent quarters, and the brand remains a major engine for its parent company. But inside the drive-through lines, the mood has changed. A basic combo that once cost $5.99 now regularly stretches past $9. The beloved cravings menu has thinned out, and young customers who once championed the brand are now posting receipts online with disbelief. The bigger issue isn't traffic, it's perception. When grocery store burritos, dollar store snacks, or homemade meal prep bowls cost half as much, Taco Bell suddenly feels expensive. And for a chain built entirely on chaotic fun and affordability, losing that image hits harder than any quarterly dip. Franchise owners quietly admit that menu inflation, ingredient volatility, and delivery app fees have cut margins thin even during strong sales periods. In college towns and late night hotspots, the shift is almost emotional. Taco Bell used to be the default stop for students and young workers who couldn't justify pricier restaurants. Now those same customers are opting out, not because they don't like the food, but because it no longer feels like the cheap indulgence it once was. Number 9. Popeyes. Back in 2019, Popeyes felt unstoppable. The chicken sandwich war turned the brand into an overnight phenomenon. Viral lines, sold-out stores, and a cultural moment that rewrote fast food history. But in 2025, that explosive momentum has cooled, and the chain is facing a far harder battle, staying affordable in an economy where even fried chicken feels out of reach. The warning signs began when same-store sales slipped into a pattern of flat or slightly negative quarters. Not a collapse, but a steady drain. Ingredient volatility hasn't helped. Cooking oil, chicken, packaging, everything costs more than it did during the sandwich boom. Franchise owners quietly note that margins have tightened, and the once profitable hype cycles no longer guarantee a strong quarter. At the customer level, the shift is even clearer. That famous $7 combo from a few years ago now lands much closer to $12 in major cities. For working-class families and younger diners, the jump is enough to change habits. Many say Popeyes still tastes great, but it no longer feels like an everyday treat. Limited-time items, once a marketing victory, now feel like distractions from rising prices and slower service. Geographically, the slowdown is especially visible across the South and East Coast, where Popeyes once dominated local traffic. Stores are still open, but the energy is different. Less hype, more hesitation. The chain hasn't lost its flavor, it's losing its affordability, and in this economy, that's everything. Number 8. Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box once owned the night. Cheap tacos, curly fries, and late-hour burgers made it the unofficial headquarters for college students, shift workers, and anyone awake past midnight. But in 2025, the neon lights are dimming, and the brand that thrived after dark is now struggling under the weight of a very different economy. The numbers tell a tough story. Same-store sales have been declining quarter after quarter, generally in the mid-single-digit range, and franchise operators feel the hit directly. Corporate has already confirmed plans to close a significant number of underperforming restaurants as part of a turnaround effort, with dozens already shuttered in recent months. Labor shortages and safety concerns have forced many locations to shorten late-night hours, cutting into the one advantage that made Jack in the Box unique. For customers, the change is obvious. That $6 combo from a few years back now pushes toward $10 in many cities, and delivery apps often add several more dollars on top. Younger diners who once saw Jack in the Box as the cheapest late-night escape now say the value simply isn't there. When money is tight, dollar store snacks or grocery store meals win out. The identity crisis only adds pressure. Jack in the Box has tried to compete in too many directions: breakfast, chicken, late night, delivery, without a clear lane to dominate. In places like California, Nevada, and Texas, former 24-hour stores now sit half-lit by midnight, a visual reminder of a brand losing the night it once ruled. Number 7. Dairy Queen. For generations, Dairy Queen wasn't just a restaurant. It was a ritual, the after-school cone, the birthday blizzard, the small-town hangout that marked the start of summer. But in 2025, that sweet nostalgia is melting under economic pressure that even ice cream can't cool down. The clearest signs appeared in Texas, where one of the chain's franchise groups abruptly shut down more than 24 locations. Soon after, another cluster of stores lost their franchise rights entirely after failing to meet costly remodel requirements. Altogether, nearly 40 Dairy Queen restaurants vanished in a matter of months, leaving behind empty buildings and confusion among loyal customers. And though this wave was tied to a single franchise group, it exposed a deeper truth. Many operators simply can't keep up with rising costs. Inflation hasn't spared dessert. Soft-serve ingredients, toppings, packaging, and utilities have all become more expensive. A medium blizzard that once felt comfortably priced now hits a level many families label as occasional treat rather than everyday stop. At the same time, corporate modernization demands new digital boards, updated interiors, carry price tags smaller towns can't absorb. The result is a shrinking footprint in the very rural communities that define the brand. Customer experience is slipping too. Shorter hours, thinner staffing, and longer waits have become common complaints. The magic is still there, but it's harder to find and harder to afford. And for a brand built on nostalgia, that's a dangerous combination. Number 6. KFC was once the unquestioned king of American fried chicken. A Sunday bucket on the table, a road trip staple, a brand recognized in every town. But in 2025, the Colonel's empire is struggling to hold its ground as younger competitors reshape what fast food chicken means. After years of dominance, KFC has now recorded multiple quarters of same-store sales declines, generally hovering in the mid-single-digit range. It's not a free fall, but it marks a dramatic shift for a chain that once dictated the pace of the entire category. Meanwhile, rivals like Chick-fil-A and Raising Cane's have captured the younger generation with streamlined menus, faster service, and a cleaner, more modern brand image. KFC, by contrast, is fighting the perception of being dated, both in its store design and its slower digital adoption. Costs make the problem heavier. Chicken, oil, and labor have all risen sharply, pushing franchise operators into thinner and thinner margins. That famous $5 fill-up now trends far higher in many markets, causing longtime customers to question whether the value still holds. For many lower-income families, the KFC bucket, once a budget-friendly meal for a whole household, has quietly shifted into special occasion territory. Across the South and Midwest, where KFC built some of its strongest roots, several franchises have closed underperforming stores or delayed remodels they can no longer afford. The food still draws nostalgia, but nostalgia can outpace economic reality, and in an industry where value is king, KFC is losing its crown. Number 5. Pizza Hut. For decades, Pizza Hut wasn't just a pizza chain, it was a destination. The red roof, the salad bar, the birthday parties, the smell of a fresh pan pizza coming out of the oven. But in 2025, the once iconic dining giant is struggling to survive in a world that no longer eats the same way. The shift started years ago, but the pressure is now unmistakable. In the United States, Pizza Hut has endured multiple consecutive quarters of same-store sales declines, including a significant drop in recent reporting cycles. Globally, the story isn't much brighter. Markets like the United Kingdom and Japan saw waves of closures, with entire clusters of stores shutting down or reorganizing under financial strain. Corporate has signaled that the brand is entering a reset phase, and franchise owners privately admit the old model is too expensive to maintain. The heart of the problem is structural. Pizza Hut built its empire on dining experiences, big booths, big buildings, and a family night atmosphere. But modern pizza economics revolve around delivery efficiency, low overhead, and fast digital ordering. Competitors like Domino's and Papa John's mastered that model years ago. And as delivery apps add fees and labor costs rise, Pizza Hut's larger footprint has become a financial anchor. Customers feel the difference too. That $10 pan pizza deal from years ago now lands much closer to $17. Before delivery fees, portions feel smaller, waits feel longer, and nostalgia isn't enough to justify the higher bill. The red roof is fading, and for many families, Pizza Hut is no longer worth the trip. Number 4, Subway. Subway was once unstoppable. At its peak, the chain had more locations than McDonald's, Starbucks, and Taco Bell combined. Every gas station, every strip mall, every small town corner seemed to have one. But in 2025, that empire has thinned dramatically, and the signs of retreat are impossible to ignore. The decline didn't happen overnight. Over the past several years, Subway has closed roughly 2,600 U.S. locations, pushing its domestic store count below 20,000 for the first time in decades. Exact year-to-year totals vary, but the direction is clear. The chain is shrinking across America. Many closures fall into the same story. Franchise operators squeezed by rising rent, falling traffic, and the mounting cost of keeping up with corporate remodel requirements. Several locations now sit dark behind faded awnings, quiet reminders of how large the network used to be. The bigger issue is brand identity. For years, Subway marketed itself as the affordable, healthier alternative to greasy fast food. But prices have climbed, ingredients feel inconsistent, and younger customers increasingly prefer competitors with fresher menus and more premium options. Classic footlongs that once hovered around $5 can now push 10 or more after tax and fees, especially in large cities. That shift has eroded the very value perception that built Subway's dominance. Operational strain adds more pressure. High turnover, uneven franchise support, and long-standing criticism of store quality have made it hard for the chain to regain its footing. And as restaurant closures continue to rise across the industry, Subway's massive footprint becomes more of a liability than an advantage. The brand that once felt everywhere now feels hollow. Number 3, Burger King. Burger King was once the confident underdog of American fast food, the chain that dared to challenge McDonald's with flame-grilled swagger and the promise of, have it your way. But in 2025, the second biggest burger empire in the country is facing one of its most turbulent chapters yet. The trouble has been building for years. Multiple franchise groups have filed for bankruptcy, leading to waves of store closures across states like Ohio, Michigan, and Florida. In earlier corporate briefings, leadership acknowledged plans to shut down up to 400 underperforming locations, a move intended to stabilize the system, but one that also signals how strained operators have become. For many franchises, rising rents, higher beef prices, and labor costs have pushed profit margins to the edge. Customers have noticed the shift too. The once affordable Whopper combo, famously priced around $6 not long ago, now edges into double digits in many regions. Diners report smaller portions, inconsistent quality, and slower service, especially in older restaurants that haven't been remodeled in years. As a result, traffic among lower-income customers has thinned, and Burger King's national market share has slipped to its lowest point in decades. The brand's identity crisis is part of the problem. While McDonald's modernizes and Wendy's leans into digital upgrades, Burger King struggles with a patchwork of store conditions and uneven execution. In many communities, aging dining rooms and dim lighting project a company stuck in time rather than one preparing for the future. The crown is slipping, and Burger King is running out of ways to catch it. Number 2, Wendy's. For decades, Wendy's held a unique position in American fast food. It wasn't the biggest, it wasn't the loudest, but it carried a reputation for honesty. Fresh beef, square patties, straightforward pricing, and quality over gimmicks. That reliability made Wendy's the steady middle child of the burger world. But in 2025, even this once dependable brand is being pushed into a painful reset. The most jarring sign came when corporate confirmed a sweeping wave of closures. Since 2024, Wendy's has already shut down roughly 240 U.S. locations, and internal projections suggest another 200 to 300 could disappear before the end of 2025. For franchise owners, the math no longer works. Beef prices have climbed sharply, labor is more expensive, and corporate tech upgrades, new menu boards, kitchen systems, ordering platforms carry heavy costs that many operators simply can't absorb. The impact on customers is equally clear. The once famous 4 for $4 deal, a symbol of value during tough economic times, now sits closer to $8 in many cities. A Frosty, once an easy 99-cent treat, has doubled in price in several markets. For working families, Wendy's no longer feels like the affordable stop it used to be, and online, younger diners often complain about inconsistency. Shrinking burgers, soggy fries, or longer waits caused by understaffed kitchens. Wendy's still has strong branding and loyal fans, but the financial strain is undeniable. With shrinking traffic among lower-income customers and rising operating costs across the board, the chain is entering the most difficult chapter in its modern history. Even the reliable brands aren't safe anymore. Number 1. McDonald's was the unbreakable one, the great constant of American fast food. No matter the economy, no matter the year, no matter the city, those golden arches were always lit, always busy, always affordable. That reliability made McDonald's the closest thing the industry had to a recession-proof giant. But in 2025, even this global powerhouse is showing cracks that would have been unthinkable a decade ago. The pressure begins with pricing. Between 2019 and 2024, McDonald's menu prices rose roughly 40%, far outpacing general inflation. A Big Mac that averaged just over $4 a few years ago now lands significantly higher in many regions. Combo meals that once felt like easy choices for working families now cross double-digit levels before tax. Corporate insists that costs force these increases, but for lower-income households, the chain's longtime foundation, the sticker shock, is real. Traffic from this group has fallen noticeably, approaching double-digit declines, even as higher-income customers continue to visit. Operational changes add to the tension. New digital kiosks, app-only deals, and AI drive-thru systems create efficiency on paper, but many older customers say the process feels confusing or impersonal. Franchise owners, meanwhile, face steeper expenses, rising wages, higher rent, delivery app commissions, and mandatory remodels that demand six-figure investments. Add in the lingering damage from the 2024 E. coli incident, and the world's most recognizable brand suddenly feels far more fragile. What makes McDonald's decline so symbolic is what it represents. If the chain that built American fast food, built childhood meals, built late-night routines, built entire communities can struggle under the weight of today's economy, then no brand is truly safe. And that's why McDonald's stands at the top of this list. Not because it's disappearing, but because its struggles reveal just how deep the shift in American eating habits has become. Conclusion. The story behind these 12 chains reveals a deeper shift happening across America. Rising ingredient costs, higher wages, delivery app fees, and a customer base stretched thin have reshaped the entire landscape. What used to be the cheapest, most convenient part of everyday life has become a luxury millions no longer take for granted. And as restaurant closures continue to ripple through the country in 2025, it's clear that the old fast food model is reaching its breaking point. This isn't the end of the industry, but a recalibration, a moment where value matters more than branding, where trust matters more than nostalgia, and where even the biggest names must adapt or shrink. The fast food collapse isn't a single event, it's a series of fractures happening all at once. And understanding them is the only way to see where the industry is heading next. If this breakdown opened your eyes to the fast food collapse, hit subscribe so you never miss the next major shift shaping America's food economy.